Hi there. Today we are going to talk about gluten and dairy, to be or not to be. I'm Denise Noyer-Erez, and I am known as the Fertility Godmother. And I get a lot of questions about diet, and particularly about gluten and dairy and sugar. That seems to be the biggest questions or the biggest fads going on. So let's talk about it. And let's talk about what you can do about it and what does that all really mean. So if you're on live, just go ahead and say hello. I'd love to hear from you. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and type them in. This was actually a question that was posed to me. So we rearranged the schedule because I got really excited to answer one of your questions and really realized that this is actually a common question that I get a lot of. So I love answering your questions. Let me see. So let's talk about gluten first, and then I'll try to bring it in all together. So a lot of people are going gluten-free, and they think that it's a healthier choice for them, but that may not necessarily be the case. So what gluten does is it causes inflammation in the body. So that is for sure, no matter what. You just want to know that. But the thing is that everybody tolerates gluten differently. So some people, like if you have celiac disease, then you know that you are absolutely never going to have gluten. You're going to avoid any ounce of gluten you possibly can, or gram or anything, right? You're going to just avoid it, everything about gluten. But some people, and most people, have more of a sensitivity to gluten. And what that would look like is you would start to feel like bloated after eating it. Your joints might start to feel a little bit achy. You might feel a little bit more tired. You might crash, especially if you're eating something that's not balanced with the protein and fats. You might tend to do a crash. I keep seeing this thing flashing, and I'm not sure what that is. Are you guys hearing me okay? So the gluten it can play havoc on your system, absolutely. And then some people have no problem eating gluten. So I notice that, for example, when I have gluten, if I'm at a restaurant and I want a piece of toast, I usually get a whole grain or whole wheat toast, and it's not a good quality, then I tend to get this really kind of a heat. It's not like burning, but I tend to get a heat in my stomach, and I could just feel this hot sensation around my upper abdomen where my stomach is. And I know, okay, that didn't sit well, but that's it. It's very tolerable, and I'm just mindful of that. So usually when I'm eating out, I tend to be really mindful of my choices, and I may or may not have gluten. Some people can have some bread products or pasta a couple times a week and not have any problem at all. But once they go to that third day, say for example, all of a sudden they're running to the bathroom, they're really bloated, they're tired. So it's really, really fine-tuning exactly how your body responds. So there is a condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome. And if you're watching this, you may have that. If you have PCOS, then it's definitely recommended to avoid dairy, but you don't have to avoid it like if you had celiac disease, but you would want to avoid it. And that's because when you have a condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome, there is a lot of inflammation and imbalance already. So you want to do everything you can to eliminate that so that your body can be optimal. That being said, right, it's all about the balance. We do need a little bit of inflammation. So in general, you want to avoid inflammation because if you're having an anti-inflammation diet for the most part and you're eating really clean, then you're going to have, in general, healthier biochemistry. Your cells are going to be healthier. You're going to have more energy. Your joints aren't going to be as achy. You're going to think more clearly. Your body doesn't have to fight so hard to get back in balance. So your hormones will be in better state. But that's if you're in this inflammation. But there are some responses, like for example, ovulation, where it actually is an inflammatory process. So you do need a little bit. And again, it's just really fine tuning and finding out where's your sweet spot, if you will. Okay. So I hope that's helpful with the dairy and making some choices. And then I'll talk to you about how we can take that a little bit further at the end of this, so stay tuned. So dairy, for example, some people are allergic to dairy and will avoid dairy because it makes them, again, but it's usually the same symptoms: the bloating, the running to the bathroom because they're, and tired and achy, right? They don't feel good on dairy. So those are people who have allergies, and most likely because you're doing some type of dairy alternative, you've already had those experiences. So the people that can tolerate dairy, if the question becomes, well, how much dairy should you have? So dairy is one of those inflammatory foods, just like gluten and just like sugar, okay? So it's also causes inflammation. So you want to not have too much of it, and it's finding again where you feel the best at. How much can you tolerate? So the caveat to that is if you eat a lot of dairy, and then your body's probably, is always adjusting and it's gotten used to it. And the same thing, well, possibly with the gluten is a little more tricky. But if you're having dairy and your body, it's like sugar. The more you eat, your body kind of adjusts, but you really don't need that much. And if you were to reset your whole system, you would find out where your body would function best for, how much dairy you could tolerate or how much sugar. I know that's not part of what we're talking about today, but I'm including it is because it's such an inflammatory food, sugar as well. And especially if you have PCOS, again, that's something where you're going to want to really be mindful, because with PCOS, you have a more tendency to go towards diabetes or prediabetes. So that's something I look at it as a blessing. You can just really make sure that you're as healthy as possible. You know that you have a condition that may set you up for that. So you just negate it and, make healthier choices. It's more of an incentive, I think, for you. So those are some things that can be really helpful when you're trying to get pregnant. It doesn't mean you have to not ever have a scoop of ice cream or a piece of cheese or a piece of pizza, for example, both, right? It's just, unless you are PCOS, then you're going to want to avoid, or if you have celiac, obviously you're going to want to avoid completely. But if you feel like a splurging and you want to have a piece of pizza, and then I think that's absolutely fine, as long as it's in alignment with the outcome of where you want to be. So if you're on a weight loss program, if you're trying to do, if you have a bunch of other goals that are encompassed with trying to get pregnant, you have to really self-assess and say, is that in alignment? Is that going to take me to where I want to be? Is it going to help me get pregnant? Is it going to prepare my body? How does it make me feel? And is it worth it if I'm going to feel like crap when I wake up in the morning? Those are all the types of questions you just want to think at the food. How is that going to make me feel? And is that in alignment with where I want to be? And so that's really important. So what I recommend doing, one of the first things we do when I work with women is we do the Prepare for Pregnancy Fertility Cleanse. And what that does is it really gets your body ready, and it resets your system, so that when you go and you eat your gluten again, and you eat the dairy, or you have sugar, your body is back where it's supposed to be. So you'll learn how your body will respond to that particular food. And it's so amazing and so important, because your body will tell you everything you need to know, and then you can answer your own question. Should I completely eliminate gluten? You'll know, because you'll know how your body reacts when you have gluten. If you feel gross after eating gluten, then your body is telling you, I don't like it. Don't feed me that, right? Makes sense? So that's something that you can really go back to do. And the other benefit of doing a cleanse is that not only does it help reset your body back to homeostasis where it needs to be, but you're learning about all the different foods that affect you. You're learning how to eat properly for your body. and you're removing all those toxins that accumulate in your body that can really impact your fertility, because they attach to your ovaries and they attach to the uterus and they play havoc on your whole endocrine system. So it's really important. I find that the women that I work with, when they do the cleanse, sometimes they get pregnant right after the cleanse. It's amazing. So because it does, your body again does so much, and it's always trying to get back in balance. And if you can just take a break, eat really clean, and get some of those toxins out of your body, it makes such a big difference. So if you want to find out more information about that, Haley will post a link here in the somewhere. You'll find it because you're probably more savvy than I am. She'll post it in the description, or a link for you to click on, so if you want to find out more information. And again, I'm always would be happy to have a quick chat to see if that's something you'd be interested in. But let me go ahead and do a recap with you. So in general, gluten and dairy are inflammatory foods. So it's really important for you to know what feels best for your body, and let you know if you should do alternatives. The other thing, I know you know this already, but I'm going to call you on it. A lot of people feel that if it's gluten-free, that means it's healthy or healthier. And that's really not the case, because there is a lot of equally unhealthy choices that are gluten-free versus non-gluten-free. So unless you have an issue processing the gluten, there's no need for you to necessarily go gluten-free. So you can enjoy your favorite pastry or brownie or whatever that may be. Although those flourless chocolate cakes are amazing, right? So anyways, little tangent. Okay. Anyways, so I hope that's really helpful for you and gives you a little bit more clarity and insight. But remember, your body will tell you what you need to know as long as it's in balance. Because you can keep pushing it, it's going to adapt. But just because it's adapting doesn't mean it's the best thing for your health and for your fertility. It's a really key point. All right, you guys, I hope you found that helpful. If so, please let me know, and I could share some more of these videos with you. And be sure to share it and let me know. Give me a thumbs up or a comment and let me know what you thought. And I'd love to hear your aha, if anything triggered for you. So make it a great day. Here's to your health, happiness, and fertility. Mwah! And we'll see you next week.